Good evening. The June 18th, 2019 meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order, and we are pleased to have with us this evening Rick Martin, our Director of Communications, to lead us in our invocation. And after the invocation, please remain standing for our pledge to the flag.
If we may bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we humbly come before you, gathered as one assembly under you. I ask for your hedge of protection over our commissioners, our first responders, our county staff, and citizens. Scripture reads in Psalms 119, 105, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." I pray that whatever decision or vote that needs to be made tonight is reflected and guided by your word. Thank you for life, liberty, and the ability to pursue happiness under God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Communications Director Rick Martin, thank you for being here with us this evening and leading us in our invocation. And good evening again to the citizens of Douglas County. The Board of Commissioners value your voice, and we appreciate your participation in local government. Public comment, clerk, did anyone sign up tonight? Board of Commissioners, no one signed up for public comment, so we'll move on in the order of the agenda. Next, we have the approval of the minutes. Board of Commissioners, you have the commission meeting minutes of June 4th, 2019, and the work session minutes of June 3rd, 2019, and the executive session minutes of June 3rd, 2019. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions that need to be made?
No, ma'am.
Being none, the minutes stand approved as presented. Board of Commissioners, next on the agenda, we have the proclamations. We have two tonight. And tab number 4 is indicating proclaiming the month of June 2019 as National Reunification Month in Douglas County. And Katie Hilbert, are you here? Hello, Katie. She will be presenting this proclamation, and Board of Commissioners, we will proceed accordingly with the vote.
Whereas, through no fault of their own, every year, over 200 Douglas County children and youth are removed from their homes and placed in foster care. And whereas reunification with their family of origin is the preferred outcome for children, and whereas most children in foster care, reunification with their family is the best option for a permanent and loving home. Whereas every year, hundreds of thousands of children in the United States are successfully reunified with their families, and whereas all children need the care, love, security, and stability of family unity, including parents, siblings, grandparents, and other extended family members to provide a solid foundation for personal growth, development, and maturity. And whereas reunification takes work, commitment, and investment of time and resources by parents, family members, social workers, foster parents, service providers, attorneys, court-appointed special advocate volunteers, the juvenile court, and the community. And whereas for many years, a number of jurisdictions in the United States have been celebrating the accomplishments of families who have overcome an array of challenges to reunify safely and successfully, and others are starting this practice now. Now, therefore, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims June as National Reunification Month and calls upon the people of Douglas County, Georgia, to acknowledge the importance of supporting families and communities with appropriate ceremonies and activities. We further encourage child welfare agencies, courts, schools, businesses, media, religious institutions, civic and service organizations to join me in the commemorating of National Reunification Month.
All right, thank you so much, Katie. You're so correct. National reunification is very important in our country. In essence, you said it takes a village
It does.
to raise a child or a family. So thank you so much. Board of Commissioners, you have heard the proclamation by Katie Hilbert. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about this proclamation? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. Congratulations again on celebrating National Reunification Month in Douglas County. That is so important to this Board of Commissioners. Katie, if you don't mind, could you come up? Do you have anyone with you?
I don't.
Would you come up and take a photograph with us?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote again, Board of Commissioners, and it passed. And Katie is coming up with us.
Come on up.
Again, Katie, thank you so much for promoting reunification in Douglas County. Board of Commissioners, our next proclamation, tab number 5, is proclaiming June 26, 2019 as Beauticians and Barbers Appreciation Day in Douglas County. So I'm going to do something a little different to honor this amazing group of individuals that stand over our heads and make us look beautiful and also listen to our problems at the same time. I have Rick Martin here. Rick Martin, we just want to say something, and Tamika Day will read this proclamation, but we want to just highlight you all and celebrate you. And as a surprise, we have our own Mayor, Rochelle Robinson, here. Her brother is a barber, so she want to speak about the great things that y'all do. So Mayor Robinson, would you come forth and celebrate these wonderful men and women of Douglas County who make a difference in our appearance? Is that the best way to say it, with the way we look? Just want to say a few words, and then Tamika Day will read the proclamation.
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good
Board of
evening.
Commissioners, county staff. As Director of Communications and Community Relations for Douglas County, I get the honor to interact with many individuals in different industries. And with that said, I think for Douglas County to recognize beauticians or stylists and barbers, it's a great day to celebrate that industry of individuals who oftentimes some take for granted. I was speaking earlier this week that when I go to the barber, and I know when my wife goes to the salon, it is almost like our zen. It is our safe haven. And I think oftentimes, no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, it's a place that we depend on weekly, monthly, and some even longer than that help us beautify ourselves. And these aren't just people that help us beautify ourselves, but these people work hard. I've had my personal barber for 11 years. I don't go to anyone different. That's my comfort. And I think a lot of people speak the same. Oftentimes, when we go, we get a chance to let our hair down. We're not at work, we're not at home, but we're away. And we get a chance to feel the pulse of the community, no matter what community that is. These industry workers are on their feet. They're always available, so much so that when they go on vacation or are sick, how do we respond? Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? I hear it oftentimes. So today, I just wanna say thank you Board of Commissioners for recognizing how critical these group of individuals are, beauticians, stylists, and barbers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Communications Director Rick Martin. And Mayor Robinson, I know you have some words that your brother sent all the way from Ohio.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Madam
evening.
Chair and Board of Commissioners. It's so good to see my friends and staff for the county. It's such a blessing to be here this evening. When the chair and I were talking today, we had to go to a funeral and then the chamber banquet and a luncheon. We were just running all day, and we were talking about what was going on this evening, and she said something to me about recognizing beauticians and barbers. And I said, oh my goodness, you know, my brother's a barber and her mom's a beautician. Her mother has many roles, but that's one of them. And so I called my brother and I said, you will not believe what the county is doing. They're recognizing beauticians and barbers today. And he said, what? Now, my brother is really funny. He keeps us in stitches. But I said, what wisdom do you have? And he said, after 30 plus years as a master barber, and he has 3 barber shops, that not everyone is meant to go to college and have a 4-year degree, but if you have something that you love and it's your trade, that you should just pursue it with passion. And so he was at Ohio State, and he loved being at the Ohio State, but it didn't work out for him. He came back home and he went to barber college, and that really helped him to find his niche. And so he said to just say, I love being a barber, because I know, he said there are some, he gives at DFACS, and he goes to children's homes and to group homes, and he says when he cuts those citizens' hair, that it makes them feel so much better, and they look better, and they start feeling better about themselves. And so he loves this trade, and he asked me to tell you thank you for recognizing people that sometimes are in the margins that people don't see, and that their trade is valuable, and he loves being a barber. And so he wanted me to tell you thank you. And as Mr. Martin has already said, it's one of those, it's kind of like a doctor's chair that you go in. But we appreciate the beauticians and barbers, and thank you all so much. You not only set policy, but you're so very kind to people, recognizing people in this community. This administration has been such a blessing to help to say thank you and give back to people who give so much to us. So thank you again for this opportunity, and congratulations on the beauticians and barbers. And you help people like me, so you don't really know, you cover up some of your, your wisdom. So only your beautician knows what your real hair color is. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor Robinson. And could Tamika Day please come forward and read Mrs. Tamika Day, and who is a respected and renowned cosmetologist here in Douglas County. If you could read this proclamation for the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, thank you, Board of Commissioners and Chair, for having me here. I want to say Douglas County Board of Commissioners, Beauticians and Barbers Appreciation Day in Douglas County. Whereas a beautician and a barber are careers that help people look and feel good. And whereas the beautician dates back to early 1920s and the barber dates back to the early 1880s, this industry has seen a lot of change over the last 100 years. Whereas beauticians and barbers must be able to deliver highest quality of services to their clients. And whereas beauticians and barbers participate in a comprehensive education program in cosmetology and barbering with plenty of hands-on training to provide many types of beauty and personal care services. Whereas a beautician touch is calming and relaxing, it builds trust. It contributes to the overall well-being of the clients they serve with a listening ear and a comfortable chair. Whereas barbering has been a tradition among men, and experience still lives on. As many say, it makes a comeback as men realize the value of a great haircut and a close shave. It's making a comeback. Whereas barbers and beauticians also become our close confidants. With many years of caring for our hair and skin, they come to know our families and watch them grow, experiencing our ups and downs with us, often resulting in developing a strong bond. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim June the 26th as Beauticians and Barbers Appreciation Day in Douglas County, and recognize the contributions of our local beauticians and barbers to our economic development, and also encourages the citizens of Douglas County to honor their local beauticians and barbers. So proclaim this 18th day of June 2019. Also, I want to say I just finished, I am now a licensed cosmetology instructor. So I'm continuing, want to definitely give back to other young men and women who may not have had the opportunity, so I'll be able to touch their lives in a different way as well. So we are more than stylists, we are more than barbers, we're also very active in our community, and we give back. So thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Day. If you could just stand and, we have any other beauticians and barbers here today? We have any more barbers, beauticians? Okay. Well, Board of Commissioners, you have heard the proclamation regarding our beauticians and barbers. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Vice Chairman Robinson.
If y'all know somebody who can give me a haircut by tomorrow morning, let me know. Okay. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Carthen.
I just want to say that I have the best stylist this side of West Georgia. Thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for those of you who allow us to sit in your chairs week after week, month after month. And just as the proclamation states, I know my stylist and I have been together now almost 15 years, and she's watched my children grow. But not only has she watched my children grow, she's watched me grow. And so I thank her for always being a listening ear, a guiding spirit, and a light in our family. So this is a great day.
Thank
I
you.
yield.
Okay, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes, Board of Commissioners. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries, and congratulations to our wonderful beauticians and barbers here in Douglas County as we show or extend our deepest appreciation for all the hard work. So if you could, since you're the only stylist here, if you want to come up, if you would take a photograph with us, we would greatly appreciate it. Oh, we can come down if you have more than you. We'll come down. Okay, we'll come down. Okay. Yes.
Oh, we have friends.
I thought I saw another barber back there, but he was shy, so he didn't want to say anything. Oh, I kept saying, no. Board of Commissioners, thank you for recognizing our beauticians and barbers, and we had one more stylist come in. Her name is Camelia Terrell. So she just also showed and expressed her appreciation for this wonderful day and moment. Board of Commissioners, we'll move on to a public hearing. This public hearing will be led by our own Ron Roberts, our Manager of Planning and Zoning, and it's tab number 6, and it's authorization to approve a new alcohol license for Miranda Property Resources LLC at 230 Thornton Road, Suite A, Lithia Springs, Georgia. Ron Roberts, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Good to see everyone tonight. Yes, staff is in possession of a completed application for this license. It is at 230 Thornton Road. We have the signage is done. All the advertisements were done correctly, and it's in your packet. The RAS certification and training was done by Mrs. Melissa Miranda, and the background check, letters of support, and the required Secretary of State forms. And the applicant is also here tonight. So,
All right. Any questions from the board before I open up this public hearing? Okay. Are you finished? This public hearing is now open to the public. Is there anyone here to speak for, or should I say on behalf of this new alcohol license for Miranda Property? We have anyone to speak on behalf? Would you please, yes, please come forward, please. And just give me your name, state your name and your address, and as my teacher said, one person at a time.
My name and my address, did you say?
Yes, sir, for the
Okay.
record.
My name is Brian Tessmer. My address is 3595 Emily Way, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, sir. Okay, so just tell us a little bit about the Board of Commissioners, what you plan to do here.
First off, I appreciate everybody here hearing us out, and we're looking forward to doing business in Douglas County, and I think we have a good idea of something that the public needs or wants, something that's not currently in the area. And we're just excited to be here and look forward to doing business here and meeting with all of you. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you already, and that's really it. We're just excited to get started.
Okay, thank you so much, and I believe you have woman also speak.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Melissa Miranda. I'm actually the one applying for the license. I live at 5850 Crest Oak Way in Cumming, Georgia. Took me about 2.5 hours to get here.
Okay.
So I also am really excited at the prospect of coming over here and opening a new establishment in the community and entering into a new business venture with my family, my dad and my brother. So that's what we're here for.
Okay. And we have one more person. How you doing today, sir?
Good evening, Madam Commissioner, Commissioners.
Hey.
This is our second venture into a restaurant lounge environment. We ran a very successful large-scale pizza operation with an alcohol permit in Johns Creek in 2011. And after 18 months or 2 years, we sold it profitably to another venture company, and then entered the property reclamation, excuse me, and restoration business. And now we're just coming down to Douglas County and happy to be here and looking forward to doing business in the community. I think we've got a valid idea, and hopefully it will be another resounding success.
All right.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Board of Commissioners, I believe at this time we're going to hold off, but we'll if we have some, we'll ask in a few minutes, okay?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone here against this public hearing? Anyone to speak against? Once again, anyone to speak against this public hearing? This public hearing is now closed. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve a new alcohol license for Miranda Property Resources LLC?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Board of Commissioners? Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, can you bring them back down?
Could you please come down front? Any particular one? Well, you
Who's ever going to
sound,
be the official spokesperson for the...
whoever, okay. Vice Chairman Robinson has a few
thank you.
questions for you.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you coming before us during this public hearing. I'm the commissioner of the 2nd District in which this property as part of. So I do welcome and appreciate you. Can you, just for the record, and again, when we talk about public hearings, and it sounds like our manager of planning and zoning has taken you through the process, tell us a little bit more about what you're trying to bring to Douglas County, because we're always open and looking to solicit, obviously, new ideas, new concepts here in Douglas. So here's your chance, please.
Great, I appreciate it. So what we're attempting to do is open a cigar lounge, which permits indoor cigar smoking, very high-end establishment, and we'll also have a full kitchen with a tapas menu. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with tapas, but it's a fancy word for small dishes, right? And somewhat of a Spanish theme on the menu, and of course the accompanying full bar. And we also have an outdoor patio, which we hope to utilize in the summertime as well. But I did a little bit of research, and there's other smoking establishments in the Douglas County area, but none that have a full bar and a full menu of food to accompany. Some of the other establishments are just smoking areas. So I think we're kind of original in that aspect. So. And like I said previously, we're excited to be a part of the county and hope that we provide a service that's not currently being provided for the residents here. So.
All right. So tapas, I do understand, and I appreciate that. That's a little bit different for us, and I appreciate it. And sounds like you did your homework. I am a cigar aficionado, so I do get it. So it's like, ooh, okay, duly noted. But nonetheless, I must render my judgment now. So, but thank you for coming. You've answered my question. I just wanted to enlighten the public about what this was really about. Madam Chair, I yield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson. Any other question? Commissioner Guider. Commissioner Guider.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a restaurant there now?
No, ma'am. It was previously a Johnny's Pizza on Thornton Road, and we leased it, and we're in the process of giving it a much-needed facelift. So we're using a lot of the previous structure because it was set up as a restaurant.
Is it a standalone?
No, ma'am. It's in a strip mall. It's on the end cap, on the far left end cap of a strip mall. And there's 4 other tenants in that building.
Okay, and there's no churches or anything like that?
No,
or
ma'am.
Schools?
No, ma'am.
Nearby?
And we had the survey done, the land survey, just to make sure that we were within the perimeters of, or outside of those perimeters. So that, I think that we got that. We're good on that. So yeah, we shouldn't be anywhere near any churches or schools.
All right, I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. Any other questions? Commissioner Carthen.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for coming into Douglas County and opening up an establishment. We love when businesses come into Douglas County and expand. One of my questions is, since you will be serving alcohol, will you provide training for any of your employees to make sure that they too understand what the parameters are in regards to serving alcohol?
Yes, ma'am. Not only for the alcohol service, but also the food. There's a course that they have to take to be certified to be served safe with the food aspect, as well as permitted with to serve alcohol as well. So both of those will be afforded to all of the employees of the establishment.
Okay.
So.
I just wanted to ensure that.
Yes,
I just wanted to
ma'am.
hear you say
Yep.
it. All right, thank you.
Okay, you get that? Okay, Commissioner Mitchell.
Yes, just a couple, one of which, and I guess when Ken or Ron, when these guys come back around, just want to make sure that legally they get a chance to kind of review and get their blessings. So when you get back on the mic, he'll tell us more about that.
Okay.
But back to the question about the consumption of underage and or smoking, underage. What is the plan? I mean, I know you're saying you guys going to have training, but kind of sort of, can you give us a synopsis of what that plan looks like, sound like, or what these guys will be kind of trained to do or look for or ask questions or ID, I'm assuming, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So the establishment will only be 21 and over. So anybody that enters the premises will need to provide identification even prior to alcohol sales or cigar smoking. So everybody across the board will be ID'd just to make sure that that's taking place. And without those licenses that you guys are permitting us to have, our business is awash.
Right.
So if for some reason somebody slips through the cracks and we serve somebody that's underage, the business is over, right? So
Understood.
that's very important to us. So we'll have all the checks and balances in place to prevent any underage drinking or smoking of any kind.
Good, wonderful. And back to my initial question, Ken. Have you guys had a chance to look and bless this, or?
Commissioner, I think James will come forward. Here's what I'm concerned about, and I'm verifying this. Right now, you have a clean indoor air ordinance
Correct.
that governs establishments and public places of gathering. I'm not exactly sure that this falls within the exception to that current ordinance, and I need James, I'm looking at the clean indoor air ordinance. It was, let me see if I have an adoption date. I can tell you the section so Ron can be looking if Ron's here. Section 11-111 is the title. Okay. Sir, if I can ask you a couple questions just to make sure we get this right.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a bar,
Yes, sir.
you're going to have a restaurant.
Yes, sir.
Where are you trying to allow smoking to occur in that building?
Inside the actual establishment, in the dining area. And we have spent an astronomical amount of money on air purification systems to clean that air.
Well, let me just read to the board the exceptions.
Okay.
I'm not sure as laid out, and staff's probably vetted this better than me, that he can have the whole center to be a smoking establishment when the public's invited. I think there's probably a way to carve out what he's doing, but I'm not sure you can do it in the whole place. Under 11-116 exceptions, a smoking prohibition shall not apply to following areas: a designated bar area in a restaurant, not the whole restaurant, a retail tobacco store, a guest room for sleeping and the adjoining suite areas of any hotels, motels, and extended stay residence rented for 14 days or less. Any private residence, including a private resident, may serve as an office workplace except if used as a children's daycare facility. Any property owned, operated, or leased by another municipality or any county government and any authority of the state or the federal government. An outdoor area of any place of employment, and any veterans organizations. So I think that the designated bar area in a restaurant works, but if the whole thing is restaurant, bar, and commingling of that, it's got to be separated under this ordinance unless you're going to make an exception. And we need to be very careful because of what y'all have already adopted in the past.
And that's why I asked that question. So maybe Ron could kind of
I
chime
didn't see
in.
it like that, actually. What I saw
Okay.
was actually, what you're dealing with here is actually
Okay.
alcohol permitting, and the state actually takes care of the tobacco use, and that's why they had to fill out the forms and complete all that stuff with the state for the tobacco use.
So, but go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ron, listen, we're here for an alcohol ordinance public hearing. We're just trying to make sure this gentleman is aware that there are smoking prohibitions on the code right now, that his description of his premises, while it may not stop the board from granting him an alcohol license, and it's perfectly fine, may not allow him to permit the business for smoking in it based on the way these ordinances and the exceptions read. So I think that needs to be looked at, because one thing the state's going to do, the state's probably got a total ban unless there's a contrary ordinance in a local government under the home rule law. Under home rule, we have a ban in restaurants, and only the separation of the bar area in a restaurant can you smoke technically as an exception in this code. You couldn't have a facility that the whole facility is an invitation to public, no matter what the age is. The whole facility that serves food is serving as a restaurant that could also smoke at the same time. So I think we need to take a look at that. It's not going to stop the public hearing from going forward, but I think y'all need to take a close look at that because somebody's going to raise the ordinance at some point in time.
And that's the reasoning for asking that question, to make sure that with the, the sections of smoke that's allowable with the ordinance, we just want to make sure that you're okay with what you're doing, because I would hate for you to spend all this money and with the anticipation of you can just kind of smoke anywhere and do, I'm not a smoker, my colleague is, and I have to deal with him when I go to Savannah every year and get a cigar or two, but at the end of the day, I don't have anything against it. I'm just trying to make sure that whatever he's trying to do, that what we're going to grant, I know it's about the liquor license now,
Right.
but I know what the ultimate goal and plan is, and I want to make sure that you're able to accomplish the goals that you're after versus you get the alcohol license, but you can't smoke cigars. It does you guys no good, so. So at this point in time, so Ken, this is about the alcohol side of it. How does that work? Based on the ordinance and everything else?
Right now, I think the only thing before us is the public hearing on the alcohol license, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, I think y'all can decide it or table it until you decide what you want to do. You could go ahead and grant it. I'm not really concerned about the alcohol license.
Correct.
I'm just concerned about the description of the service that's being provided does not fit neatly within your ordinance or the exception, and there's going to be an issue on day one based on the description, because it will be partially violative of your code.
Okay, so Ron,
We'll work with that.
There's going to have to be a separation
Sure.
based on the code unless it changes.
Right, and the
Between
fire
the
marshal-
restaurant and the bar.
Right.
Because let's do an example. Let's pick a chain bar that has food all around the bar area. You can envision the name. And they just say, well, we're just calling ourselves a bar. That's the kind of smoking that's been outlawed because of public health concerns for many
secondhand.
decades now. And so there's going to have to be a separation of the bar, if bar is going to be smoking, from the food and the restaurant part where the public's invited.
or we make an adjustment somewhere within our ordinance to identify that, because there's a different state makeup as well, correct, Ron?
Correct.
Okay, so,
And there's several establishments that we're trying to mirror.
Okay.
Not locally to Douglasville, but locally to Metro Atlanta, that we could use as kind of a launch pad to just, I guess, educate the public and you all as to what we're doing and what our goal is. Because it is a lucrative business outside of Douglasville. And I don't know if you heard me, but we've spent a ton of money to clean the air in the
Understood.
building as people. I don't know if that has any impact on anything or not.
Right.
But,
no, I think that's a plus. It's secondhand smoke and others is what he's alluding to and all the other stuff. So, and again, I don't have any issues with it. It's just I want to make sure that you're able to accomplish your goal. So
I appreciate that.
I don't want us to kind of get started going down this road and end up, you at a dead end,
Right.
and you've invested here in Douglas County only to find,
You and-
yes, those is no good. So, this is about the alcohol side of it, and I guess we'll at least go that far, and then, Ken, you correct me if I'm wrong, we can go that far, and then from that point forward, we need to kind of figure out what is, when it comes down to the cigar smoking or just smoking in general, whatever that is, correct?
Yeah, my suggestion is fine to go forward with the alcohol. If y'all decide you want to do it on the alcohol vote, sir, you probably, before you open, you probably are going to want to work with these folks to make sure that you're compliant with the current ordinance, because on day one, you're going to be cited, and each day, if based on your description, it violates the code right now. Okay, and we're not trying to be adversarial. I'm just pointing out something that's on the books that might need to be looked at one day. I don't know. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank you.
I yield back.
You yield back, Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second to approve a new alcohol license for Miranda Property Research Sources. Please prepare to cast your votes.
Oops.
Did it work?
Lisa? Clerk, if you could come down.
It disappeared.
He said it disappeared. No, it's on there. I see it.
Oh. Okay. Oh, it's right there. Okay, see, it keep this. It keep doing it. Yeah. Oh, I gotta do it all over again. I got it. Yes. That's what
Okay, it's up there. The votes are already been cast. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. So thank you so much, and congratulations on your license. And I know, Ron, you're going to work with them with the state on the smoking, and also to make sure that our ordinance will allow for what your plans are. Thank you. We look forward to doing business with you here in Douglas County. Thank you. Next, Board of Commissioners, we'll just take just a second. Allow our
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Next, Board of Commissioners, we'll move to our new business. And tab number 7 is an appointment to the Douglas County Development Authority to fill an unexpired term effective July 1st, 2019. Do we have anyone to make a motion?
I motion that we approve Angela O'Neill.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Robinson?
Yeah. Give me a second. All right, thank you. All right, real quick, this is for the appointment for the Development Authority Board. And the only comment I'd like to make here is just for process sake. I'm all for creating new precedent, obviously, being a staunch never wanting to maintain the status quo. But I'd like for us to be a little bit more fixed about how we go about filling board appointments. I just noticed that in the agenda there was no name, and so we're putting a name out here in the midst of the moment. And so that's something I just wanted to highlight, and I'm just going to yield back from that. It's just a process right now, a question. I'll go back. I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the Board of Commissioners? We're just waiting so we can. Okay. Give us just a moment, y'all. We're experiencing just a little technical difficulty.
Go for it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, we have a motion, Board of Commissioners, and a second for Angela O'Neill. Please prepare to cast your votes. Wow. We have a tie. It's two, the two said yes, 2 said no, and 1 abstained. So how do we handle
You have
this?
to have a majority of quorum. It takes 3 to pass, Madam
Yeah.
Chair, so the motion fails.
Yes, the motion failed.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, please
I'd like
make
to
a
make a motion to nominate Matthew Barrington to this position.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this nomination? Commissioner Guider?
Yes. We discussed this quite lengthy yesterday, and we were looking at the credentials mostly, at least I was, and I think some of the others were too. And I hope that we never, this board never just adopts adopts a policy basing our decisions on whimsical attitudes about who we appoint. I think it's important that we do look at credentials, education, and their experience, rather than just gender or whatever. And this nominee is very inept in banking and finance. And this is a very important board that makes very expensive decisions as far as tax abatements and everything. And I think this is badly needed on this board. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I certainly don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but our first nomination has an MBA, if that makes a difference, Master's in Business Administration. Commissioner Carthen, you have a question or a comment?
I have a comment. I believe when we appoint people to boards, it is very important that we keep in mind the totality of the board. And in some discussions yesterday, others brought up political persuasion, which I think you should never bring in someone's political beliefs when you appoint, because under rule, we are all human. And your qualifications as a human and what you bring to the table as a human should go into whether or not you fit what's needed on a board. So with that being said, I think that our first nominee, although it failed, had more than the qualifications. She also had the characteristics and the spirit of one Douglas, which I believe we want for the board in economic development. And as a business owner, I believe that we need someone with that type of ingenuity, character, and diplomacy. So with that, Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Wow, it's all over the board again. We have legal counsel. I'm going to move on to the next person then. Same thing, yeah, same thing.
It
Okay.
takes a quorum, and this, when you have 5 present, it takes 3
Okay.
to pass any motion.
Okay, we'll go with the next name, and then we'll wrap it up, and maybe we have to come back another day.
Well, Madam Chair, you can still entertain other motions under the same thing if you'd like, unless you want to move on.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve? The next name is Tanya Jackson. Do we have a motion to approve? Okay, we don't have a motion to approve. I'm going to try this again. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve Tanya Jackson for this board? There's no feedback. The motion fails for lack of response. Okay. Board of Commissioners, do I need to try it again? Or we just, I
Madam
believe we
Chair,
should, anybody want to, Vice Chairman Robinson?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation that we just pause, we revisit this and bring it back at our next session, Madam Chair, with a more deliberate consensus. I yield.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to table this item? Do we have a motion to table?
So moved.
Second. Okay, have a second from Commissioner Guider. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about tabling this item? We have a motion and a second. please indicate that you would like to table by raising your right hand. Is it 5-0? Okay, it's a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. We table the item, and we will discuss
Yeah.
at our next meeting, and we will vote accordingly because this position is time sensitive. Next, we'll move on to the next item, which is tab number 8, reappointment of Esau Birdsong and Peggy Childers, resident commissioner, to the Douglas County Housing Authority effective July 3rd, 2019. Do we have a motion to approve these reappointments?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. We'll move on to tab number 9, appointment of Tracy Crooks to the Douglas County Library Board effective July 1st, 2019. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. All right, we have a 5-0 unanimous vote to approve the appointment of Tracy Crooks to the Douglas County Library Board effective July 1st, 2019. Thank you, Board of Commissioners. Then next, we'll move to our consent agenda. Tab number 10, authorization to amend the Woody Fife Senior Center's budget for donations received for the senior picnic in the total amount of $1,879. Tab number 11, authorization to accept a grant from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council for the State Court DUI Drug Court in the amount of $96,164 with matching funds of $10,685 for the grant fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents and amend the budget as necessary. Tab number 12, authorization to accept $318,650 from Ameris Bank for the defaulted letters of credit for the completion of the asphalt toppings in Tuscany Hill subdivision and to place the funds in the assigned fund balance. Tab number 13, authorization to approve a task order 2019-4 in the amount of $1,400 for the additional work required by GA EPD at the landfill and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 14, authorization to approve a task order 2019-5 in the amount of $19,930 for 2019 winter groundwater sampling and monitoring and reporting to the GAEPD and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 15, authorization to amend the budget and accept a grant award in the amount of $53,500 from the Council of Accountability Court Judges for Family Treatment Court and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 16, authorization to accept a cashier's check in the amount of $11,362.26 from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office by order of the Douglas County Superior Court as abandoned property, less $330 to be reimbursed to Department 280 other professional services for advertising costs and amend the budget as necessary. Tab number 17, authorization to approve a contract with Google for installation of free Wi-Fi on Connect Douglas 12 fixed routes and paratransit cutaways, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 18, authorization to approve supplemental agreement number 2 in the amount of $5,468 with R.J. Haney and Associates Incorporation for additional quantities of items required due to changes in field conditions in connection with the ITS expansion project P100122622 to be funded through the Capital Transportation Fund, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 19, authorization to approve the supplemental agreement number 5 with Michael Baker International Incorporation in the amount of $152,304.09 for additional design services in connection with the Lee Road Phase 2 widening project P1-0004428 and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 20, authorization to accept a check from the State Court Technology Fund in the amount of $775 for the purchase of a laptop. Tab number 21, authorization to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, the Georgia State Historic Preservation Officer, SHPO, and Douglas County regarding the South Douglas Public Safety Tower, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Board of Commissioners, that concludes our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any particular item or topic? Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Commissioner Carthen?
Tab number 19, authorization to approve supplemental agreement number 5 with Michael Baker International for additional design services. Would that be Miguel?
I'm sorry, I'm bringing with everyone else.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Good evening. Miguel, can you give me a little update as to why this additional money is needed?
Absolutely. This project was initially designed many years ago, and it was designed under different requirements. And the project was not able to be carried all the way through to construction, and it was shelved. And in order for the project to now be taken to construction, the plans have to be updated. And because the original designer did the design throughout the project, it's more cost-effective to go back to them and just get them to update to the current standards so we can get the project bid for construction.
Okay. So am I to understand this didn't become an RFP or RFQ in the system? We just used who was the existing design or architect?
That is correct. It's the most expeditious way, and because relative to the original design, for somebody to come in and kind of catch up the project, it would probably cost a lot more, and it would take a lot more time for them to get up to speed on the project. So this would be typical for, relatively speaking, for a project that has been this far into design to retain the existing designer to do additional work.
So did you do a cost analysis between the last design and this design to see if the fees were in line?
We did. In fact, we had pretty extensive discussion with the Georgia Department of Transportation to reduce the scope of what would be required. And so some of the things that initially they had indicated that may be required or not. And then there were certain things that initially they didn't think that would need to be updated that were. But all in all, there's been that back and forth comparison to make sure that we're doing only what's necessary to finish the project.
I just wanted to make that public because as a citizen, if I was sitting back watching this, $152,000 would seem a lot for something we already did. So I just wanted to make sure that I and the citizens were up to date as to why we were redoing this.
Sure.
But thank
Understood.
you. Thank you. I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Carthen. Before I acknowledge any other commissioners, just wanted to make a correction to number 19. I received notification from our county administrator. I should have, as it was not written in here, but I meant to say authorization to approve supplemental agreement number 5 with Michael Baker International in the amount of $152,304 and 9 cents. But this is to come out of SPLOST. So for the record, the clerk I've been notified that SPLOST should have been on there. So if you could just add that in there for the record, okay? All right, that correction has been taken care of. Any other discussion from
But
any?
could I ask a question about
Yes.
what you just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I was under the impression that we had, like, 10 million set aside for this, so why is it coming out of, oh, those are SPLOST dollars that we put over
Yeah.
there?
Mhm, they are.
Okay.
That's- then
I
it's
got
just
a
one-
little confused that it's not additional, it's still coming out of this 10 million. We have enough to cover this and whatever else has been done?
Actually, Commissioner Goddard, it's 11 million, but no, it was discussed in the Transportation Committee to keep the 11 million as is and make a recommendation for the $152,304.09 to come out of the remaining, part of the remaining balance in the economic development category in transportation.
So this is an additional $152,000 coming out of SPLOST rather than coming out of the 11 million?
Yes, ma'am.
And we're just now hearing about this. Things like this should be discussed.
It was discussed in the work session
But
yesterday.
it wasn't really pointed out that it, that it was not, that it was coming out of additional SPLOST monies. When we've got, because we just keep adding to the budget, the SPLOST budget. And we've already set aside 11 million for this. Why would it not come out of the 11 million? Is there not adequate funds in the 11 million?
It was discussed in the Transportation Committee that the $11 million for the Lee Road Phase 2 widening project was for construction. This is for design.
The 11 million, I thought, was for design also.
No, ma'am, that was for construction.
Is this 11 million, is that for the matching funds that we expect to get from GDOT?
Yes, ma'am. For a total of $21 million project.
We just seem to be pulling out of SPLOST funds and pulling out of SPLOST funds for things that were not originally in there without fully vetting it before this Board of Commissioners. And I do resent this and things like this happening. And I will yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Guyder. Vice Chairman Robinson, I
Thank
heard
you.
you.
Absolutely. I do appreciate this. And one, I'm going to be honest and straight about, this did come up in our Transportation Committee meeting today. I do and did not anticipate that it would be on this agenda. I don't like that. We spent too much time talking about this today. We talked about Whitehurst. We talked about Lee Road, and we talked about Maximum. And I checked the record and checked the tape. I set expectations about, like, okay, guys, okay. You know, they wanted administrative concurrence, and I'm like, absolutely not, right? It's always one way with staff. So I appreciate my commissioners' sentiments. We always, you know, we may land on the same position for very, very different reasons, but I was very clear about this. Because I watched y'all. We had this very long conversation. I'm like, okay, guys, y'all not going to be able to sustain this. I had a conversation with my finance director, like, okay, we're getting to that tipping point, right? I've been very clean and clear. Now, I'm also going to let staff, like, just like y'all let stuff walk off the cliff. Like, okay, y'all, this ain't going to turn out like you think. Again, I was very serious about that today. It was just this ask, like, gosh, I got a lot of projects, right? It was happy when we first started. We hadn't done a lot, new money. And I'm like, okay, guys, this is about to run out. We're on the back nine. Now, it is what it is. The cost of stuff that's already in play, this $11 million, I ain't gonna worry about that. I'm not gonna recreate why the prior BM didn't do it, whatever. I'm not gonna go fight that. Water under the bridge. I'm talking more about like, okay, guys, right, it's always this need, right? And this is when the Board of Commissioners asks for something, like we want expanded transit, there's a problem in listening what the Board of Commissioners wants on behalf of the citizens. But yet, there's this ask, right? I knew we would get here. I just sort of let things go. Now, I'm gonna wrap this up because this was a very, y'all need to hear this. You don't need to go look at the tape. Or you can, but I'm just saying, this was something like, no, guys, y'all, didn't you just hear what the commissioner said yesterday? And y'all gonna put this ask on this right now? Okay, well, I'm gonna let y'all go off the cliff on this. That was wrong. I didn't agree, but it's like, okay, but let it come to the full Board of Commissioners. Let them hash this out. Now again, I said, don't put me in this awkward place, but I knew how to get out of it. I knew exactly how to get out of it. It's right in the moment, like, no, I'm not gonna go out like that, right? Again, the ask. I didn't disagree with Old Alabama, Maxim Road and obviously Thornton. I didn't disagree with the Whitehurst. Whitestone needed extra, I don't know, extra set of money. We copied that as well. So it's like, okay, my comment was, okay, y'all doing a big ask, right? Okay, $600,000. It's all coming out of this space. It was spread across a couple of districts, so it wasn't just concentrated. But I made these comments like, okay. So again, but again, this goes back to the full Board of Commissioners that says like, guys, don't take it resentful, just take it that you're about to run out of money. Whatever is shovel ready at the moment that we go, that means there's certain things are going to not get done. I made this comment yesterday before we got here, like, okay, guys, set your public's expectation. The list is the list, but you only got so much money. So I don't want to belabor the point, but since y'all brought this up, it's important, again, one more time, like, no, that's not how that went down. There was no maneuvering, anything like that. It's just staff saying that this was important, so I let it come up to the full Board of Commissioners. I did not think it would come to this meeting. I thought it would be the next meeting. So it was like, okay, what was the urgency that it had to go like that? I mean, and recognizing like, okay, that I didn't like. I don't like sleight of hand. I like more full disclosure. So again, we had this conversation earlier that like, okay, it can't just be one way, staff, I'm telling you. Sorry, so I've done my admonishment on this moment. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank
Madam
you so
Chair.
much, Vice Chairman Robinson. Commissioner Guider?
The last time something like this happened, and it was in a meeting, the day of our meeting, and it came before us, and we did not have the opportunity to vet it. You gave me your word you would not allow this to happen again. And I would ask that this item be removed from the consent agenda until we've had time to vet this, especially since it's coming out of SPLOSH. I thought it was coming out of the 11 million that had already been set aside.
Okay.
So, I mean, you did give me your word that this would not happen again, and it's not fair to the rest of the board. And we either vote against the whole consent agenda because of this one item, or we pull this item out and vote separately, or table it till the next, I could make a motion, I guess, to table it till the next board meeting.
You'll make your motion once I respond.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
you have a motion and a second
We just-
pending.
yeah.
Either, unless that motion and second's withdrawn, the only way you can adopt a change to the proposed motion would be by amendment.
Okay. Commissioner Guider, I definitely want to respond to you. I'm a woman of my word. My word is my bond. This is an oversight on my part. I didn't even realize it was on here. We talked about it in our meeting today, and it's a lot of reading to do, and I just spotted it. We did have brief discussions about it yesterday. My word is my bond. So I'm a woman of my word and character and courage and all those things that describe me. So I appreciate your dialogue, but at the same time, respect my word. When I tell you something, that's what I mean, okay? So
I'm
that's what I
holding you
mean.
to it. I'm holding-
And I want you to hold me to it. That's why I'm going to do something to change this, because again, we talked about it in our Transportation
Okay.
Committee today, but the plan was not for it to come forth today,
Okay, so how do we have
So
it
he
now?
just talked about, he said I could amend, I believe your your response
Well,
was?
you have a motion and a second. Unless there's an amendment, you proceed with the discussion, and when you close discussion, a vote on the pending motion, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Is that on the consent agenda? I'm asking.
Well, what I want to do is just vote, and if you deny it, and then we can just come back and just do it again, and I can just move number 19 off. Is that an easier way? Just help me out.
Who made the motion? Commissioner Guider made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Guider could ask that it be withdrawn and the second withdrawn.
I make a motion to withdraw the previous motion to approve the consent agenda.
It's not a motion. Technically, you just make a statement. You'd like to withdraw your motion. Will the second agree to withdraw?
Okay.
And do the second.
Who was the second?
Commissioner Robinson.
Commissioner Robinson was the second.
Okay.
Is that the pleasure of the rest of the board?
Hmm.
Yes? No?
So where are we? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Guider made a motion to withdraw,
Not a motion, she just.
and Commissioner Robinson, you make the second. And you just indicated you didn't want this on here. This is a sleight of hand, so we need to, for my sake, let's resolve it and fix it, because I want to make sure that we do the right thing.
I will rescind my second.
Thank you. Okay, we have,
If the motion has been withdrawn and the second rescinded, you have no motions, you can ask, is there a motion?
is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion to table this item to the next board work
Item
work
number
session.
19.
Right now, you're voting on the consent agenda. You'd ask that the item be removed from the consent agenda first.
That's what she's
And then
doing.
you'd have a second motion to have it tabled.
Right.
Okay.
I make a motion to remove this item from the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Board of Commissioners? We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand if you're in approval.
By hand.
By hand. We have 3-2, and the motion carries, okay?
So now you're going to consider either the consent agenda without the item or the item, whatever order the chair prefers.
There you go.
I make a motion that we table item number 19 until the next board meeting.
Second. We have a motion and a second to table item number 19. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 3-2 vote, and the motion carries, and table, number 19 has been tabled. Now, going to go back to the consent agenda. All right. Whew. All right, Board of Commissioners, you heard the previous consent agenda with the absence of number 19. Do we have a motion to approve? So
I make a motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any item? Stop with number 19. Any other item? Okay. Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. Can we?
You can't cast your vote. 'cause they made
Yes, we can.
Now you have to do a hand
Hand
vote.
vote because you can't do that. She just made a.
Because you
the whole thing changed.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand.
Yep.
Okay, we have a 5-0 vote, and the motion carries. It's a 5-0 unanimous vote. Thank you, Board of Commissioners, for that. We have approved our consent agenda and amended accordingly. Board of Commissioners, next you have the approval of your expenses. Please, I ask you to review those expenses yesterday. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please, any discussion? Please prepare to cast your votes.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. Next is, we have announcements. Board of Commissioners, you have any specific announcements that you would like to express? Any announcements from the Board of Commissioners? Will our Director of Communications please come forth and read our announcements, please?
Yes, good evening again, Board of Commissioners, Madam Chair, staff. Pleasure to read the following announcements. Douglas County's fixed route bus and paratransit service, Connect Douglas, will launch Thursday, June 20th, following a Get on the Board information session about the fixed route bus service on June 19th at 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. tomorrow, we'll have a formal ceremony recognizing the Connect Douglas fixed route bus service. It's happening at the clock tower, underneath the clock tower of the Transportation Center. Ceremony is free and open to the public. Light refreshments will be served and available after. Second item, the Douglas County 2020 Census Community Information Meeting will take place on June 20th at 6:30 right here in Citizens Hall of the courthouse. Meeting will provide information about the 2020 census and will also provide information about opportunities to serve on the Douglas County 2020 Census Committee. Person to contact, Director of External Affairs, Tiffany Stewart Stanley. Join Keep Douglas County Beautiful for the Great American Cleanup. The cleanup ends on June 30th. It's currently ongoing. For more information, you're invited to go to keepdouglascountybeautiful.com for more information. And last but not least, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Henry Mitchell III.
All righty then, thank you. Just inviting those of you who want to come out and hang out with me, along with Black Diamond, as we host the Family Fun Day celebration at Jesse Davis Park this Saturday, July 22nd, starting around 1 o'clock, ending at 5. Free hot dogs, ice cream, you name it, haircuts, free resources, and all those great things. This is the spinoff of my Unity in the Community Day that we do. So just come on out, enjoy some fun and festivities. Again, that'll be Saturday, the 22nd. Myself, along with Black Diamonds, from 1 until 5 p.m. That'll be Saturday, June 22nd. So Jesse Davis Park, come on out. And by the way, the sheriff will be there with the ice cream vehicle, and he wanted to make sure I make note about that. So he normally shows up with us as well. So come out and have some fun with us. All right, thank you. I yield back.
Okay. Thank you so much, Director of Communications, Rick Martin. Also, thank you, Commissioner Mitchell, for enlightening us about your event. Any other discussions from the Board of Commissioners? If there's nothing else to come before this Board of Commissioners, this meeting is adjourned.